everybody, and welcome to a very special Flesh and Blood video where we're going to be previewing two cards. One of them from Dusk Till Dawn, our standard preview, like you've seen around the internet at this point, I'm sure. And then another that is going out to all of our subscribers for the Flesh and Blood booster box subscription that's already been processed. So if you're subscribed, you should have received an email that's been charged. If you're just seeing this now and you're like, what's a subscription? You get booster boxes for every new set of Flesh and Blood automatically. About 1 to 4 weeks before they're released, you get charged. And all of them come with a very sweet promo provided to us officially by Legend Story Studios. But enough about the way that we make a living and onto the way that you feel gratified during preview season. Zach, it's a big one for you, I know, because it says Ruined Blade on it.
It does.
So let's pull her up.
I don't know that we've had a Ruined Blade preview yet. Like a spoiler that we get to review. I could be wrong on that. But anyways, let's get to it. Ruined Blade equipment. It's a chess piece. It's legendary, which it's hitting all the right keywords for me. The name is Dyadic Carapace. And it's got the magic number 2 on the bottom right, which means it blocks for 2.
Now it's a 2 temper, right? So temper. It can technically be 3
so
armor.
You block 2, then you block for 1, and then after you block for 1, it goes. And then it's got another little piece of text on here. It says Arcane Barrier 2, which means that this is a chess piece that blocks damage and magic, which is the Ruined Blade Colorify.
Fundamentally excellent.
Yeah. So let's talk about the math real quick.
Okay. Let's talk about the math.
Let's not go too Hamilton.
I won't get too upset about it.
Well, you know what? Actually, no. Stop.
It can't possibly be better for its raw value.
We'll get to the math. Let's talk about this art really quick.
Okay. It's Briar, right?
I don't know. I
mean, if anyone's a dyad,
they keep showing, like in Crown of Dichotomy, there's a hooded character or figure. And there's like a little bit of blonde long hair.
Oh, yeah. With the horns, those weird little like ethereal horns.
Yeah, it's like the crown that she's wearing. So blonde hair. I'm still speculating Dorinthia is eventually gonna.
You know, the Fab community has Dorinthia becoming every single talent, I think, at this point.
Well, I've been reading up on the lore. They posted an article that was like catch up on the lore before Dusk Till Dawn comes out.
Right.
So I went back and read a lot of the stuff, particularly relating to, I don't know, Viscerai. And it's really clear to me that Soul and that whole thing,
the monastery Soul,
they're the bad guys. It's not even close.
But is this one of those weird like Empire did nothing wrong things that like people like think are clever?
This is one of those like the Jedi Order was the bad guys. You know what I mean? Taking kids from their homes and then like denying them all emotions and attention and all kinds. And like it's really. The Jedi were pretty messed up. We won't go into that whole thing, but all that to say,
Enlightenment's cool though.
Yeah. Anyways, so it blocks for 3 technically over the course of the game. It also has Arcane Barrier 2.
Yeah.
This is a very simple card, and the natural comparison to me, first off, is Bloodsheath Skeleton, which is in hindsight, it's
that card was insane.
Absurd that card got printed, but.
Do you remember the old argument, by the way? Oh, no. Yeah, it's really good. But if it's taken away, it won't, like, everything will explode in the meta, and Ruined Blade is the only thing stopping X, Y, or Z from getting too good.
I don't remember that argument. I do remember.
I don't remember that.
That's
convenient.
I do remember at the time when Viscerai was playable, when, like, Starvo was around, Viscerai was a deck that you could possibly choose. If you took Skeletor out then, he just goes to straight unplayable. Yeah. Things have changed a lot since then.
Skeletor was as good as Starvo, basically.
Skeletor was very good.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, like looking back. So Skeletor had the same armor blocking, except for instead of Arcane Barrier 2, it provided anywhere from 5 to 20 resources. So I'll let you do the math.
Comes out in the wash.
Yeah, you know, somewhere in there.
Is there a 2/1 block currently in the card pool for Ruined Blade?
There's not on the chess piece. So,
okay.
So the Grasp is a 2/1. And then you can technically run Arcanite Skullcap, which is a 2/1 in the hat. And then you used to have a Skeletor, which was a 2/1. Yeah. And actually, even the resource crazy, and sometimes that didn't line up. Yeah. The classic Ruined Blade paradigm. Yeah. But it was actually the 2 block missing, because Ruined Blade used to have a clean 6 block on their equipment once, and then a 3 that if you pair with another 3 is a 6 again. So you kind of had one moment where you could block like a CNC without a card, then you could block the second CNC with 1 card. Yeah. That was a huge element of what made that strong. So the actual Bloodsheath Skeleton no longer playable, at least in constructed. the comparison that now is coming up, the two that I'm looking at, and I'm in a viscerai state of mind these days, are Tunic, Vandal Spring Tunic, and Aether Ironweave. It's funny, I was like, what's the actual name of that thing? I just say Ironweave, you know, like I was trying to find that first word. So Tunic, of course, blocks for 1, and then every third turn you get a free resource.
Right.
So, at least the way I play it, Viscerai doesn't often make it past turn 6. You definitely aren't getting into turn 9.
Okay.
Unless you're losing, or you're playing against a fatigue deck or something. So, in most matchups, the Tunic is really only worth 1 or 2 resources out of Runeblade. So, by default, most of the time, I was actually playing Aether Ironweave.
Okay.
Because it's always worth 2 resources. And it's worth 2 resources the moment you need it. You can also block and still use the 2 resources later. If you block with Tunic, you can't go back and get the resources later. So comparatively, this gives you 2 more health than Ironweave because it blocks 2 the first time. And then you still have the 1 block sitting there. And then you're giving up 2 resources off of Ironweave to play this to get that 2 health, which in Fab math, that tracks. You're basically trading life for resources, which if the game is designed as it ought to be, and you're not cheating in some way, you know, that math loosely works out. Sometimes 2 resources is worth not very much, and sometimes it's worth a ton, right?
Yeah.
You catch a ranger on a CNC after they block the first thing, and they're in a really bad spot with those 2 resources, right? So where does this card fit in?
The sideboard. It seems like you put it in the sideboard, and then you solve whatever problem you need. With it.
Yeah, you do. The interesting thing about it is, so in my list, I was playing at Pro Tour 3 that weekend and the calling. I actually had Null Rune Robe in my list. So
yes. Oh, well, that's just like absolute gravy.
Yeah, because you have the Vexing Quill hand, which is AB1, and you want that in a lot of matches anyway. So then when I basically had 1 sideboard slot, and the Null Rune chest, or was it hood? Robe?
Yeah.
Chest.
You wear a hood on your chest often.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it depends on the day of the week, I guess. But I was playing that so that I could go to AB2 specifically against Kano.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think it was worth it against Icelander. However, this is really important because obviously in that Kano match, now I have AB3. And I already have AB1. So AB2, a lot of times AB2 is kind of a downside.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily always want to have to pay 2, or they're not always doing, like against Runeblade, it's actually very good for reasons we'll get to in just a second. So anyways,
AB3 is where you want to be. Pitch a blue,
Kano,
block 3. Very efficient.
Then into Icelander, another place where you might want Arcane Barrier. The Michael Hamilton special is actually the Bullander list. So they're sending a fair number of physical attacks.
Yeah.
So the fact that you get you get a 2 block and have the AB there against the Icelander, that's really a clutch. Like, this is just a perfect card to slot into very specific scenarios. And this is a classic, like, this is such a fab card to me. It literally just blocks damage.
It's just fun to use, man.
It's just fun to use. It's not being fancy. And then even the other place that you might want Arcane Barrier is against Runeblade.
Yeah.
So at the moment, Rosetta Thorn is like on its last gasp. Have you seen the count on that? No. Briar's at 998 points.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's 1 event away.
I had no idea.
So if we'd had this in, and for now, while it's legal, still playable, this is a great option that gives you the ability to block and the ability late game to block the Rosetta Thorn damage. So I could see specifically Briar playing this into someone like Viscerai while Briar is still around, because the Tunic a lot of times is really good into the ice matches, and then it's kind of okay everywhere else. Like Viscerai's whole cost curve is Mauvrion Sky's 2 cost swing sword for 1. And so like the 2 bonus resources you get from Ironweave are really only good for like the super wide turn. So if you're going to play defensive at all, this is like a perfect card. So it's really, it's not obvious to me that this is just going to go in the list or be played all the time. But at least in my Viscera list, it was just a straight upgrade, right?
Straight up null run robe into a 2-block Arcane Barrier 2.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, which is good into Kano, of course, but then it's actually makes it playable into Icelander.
That's awesome.
Assuming they're on any physical damage whatsoever.
That's super good. Is there any other fancy math that matters? Like how much fridge can Runeblade bring now? You got a 2/1 in every slot. What about the feet?
You can just run the standard.
Is Creepers 1 block?
Right, yeah.
It's amazing.
So that's actually in the Skeleton days. Your
is
first.
Is it Battle War?
No, it goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is an instant, so you could block with it and then use it on defense, assuming you block with an attack. But that's a tale for another time.
Mm-hmm.
So the traditional was Skullcap, Skeleton, Grasp, block for 6. Then the second block after you've used your creepers is Grasp, Arcanite, and Boots.
Yeah.
And then you pop the Skeleton to use its ability because you can't get that last. Same here. Once you use that second block, you don't get the Arcane Barrier anymore. So,
But you could sub this into the Boots block and keep the creepers up in that exact same scenario, right? Because you don't need to hold it like you had to hold Skeleton to use it.
Yeah.
So you basically got a 6-block, 3-block, still have creepers online.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because like the aggro decks, I think, would play it into very specific matches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm hoping that Runeblade has the ability to play, and Briar does this, but Briar is about to be a living legend. Play a little more mid-range. And like the mid-range Runeblades, this is really powerful. Like 2-block is very powerful.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's worth way more than 2.
I think most any class would love to have this piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. But I really dig that, again, we're getting more options in these slots. So you have to start making choices between, and it's funny, but it's like Tunic, of course, this, and then like Ironweave. And I love that Ironweave is still in the argument there because I think it's a common from Monarch or something. But
still possible.
Yeah, great
cool, man. Arcane Barrier 2, block 2, block 1, 2-block Temper. I mean, what more can you say? It's a beautiful card too. If you're wondering why we're filming from Zach's
you didn't go into
closet,
it this time.
It is because we're moving our studio currently. So we carted a bunch of stuff over here and set up. Zach was gracious enough to host all of the things here that you can't see. So just in case you're like, well, I'm halfway through this video and I have no idea why they're not in their normal spaces, that's why. Now, moving on, let's talk about the promo,
order
man.
of business, yeah.
Let's talk about that subscription promo. This is a wild one, man. I of all the things I could have guessed that Legend Store would be like, let's move that through as a promo. This would not have been on my radar, but it is a gorgeous card.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you.
So you never know what's going to show up in terms of the promo for these things. And like, it was unexpected in pretty much every angle. So let's show this thing
Let's
off.
take a look at it. So you may be familiar with this card.
One day we're going to get a Runeblade promo. I'm really excited about that day.
Yeah, you know,
I guess we had one. It was the Elemental Runeblade card. So I take that back.
We did. What was that, Stir the Wildwood?
Yep, and it's beautiful.
All right, so this Iris of Reality. Many of you may be familiar with this card from sets long ago.
Well, it was Monarch, right? That was like the OG token weapon for Prism.
That's right. Yeah, and apparently, there's some speculation that it's going to have its moment in the sun once again.
Yeah, I know
Alex thinks so. There's been some weird Iris lists already rolling around when Prism was doing her thing.
Have you seen the Drome Iris list?
This is a beautiful card, though.
Yeah, the like rainbow coloring in the background, and then the way the foiling is actually on the weapon piece itself. Like, it's hard to see on camera, I think. But yeah, that right there, like when you hit that, that's what it looks like in person.
It's like the entire universe suddenly comes into focus.
It is crazy.
Look at that.
Yeah, so one of these is going to come with every box of Dusk Till Dawn that is being shipped through our subscription service. As Steven said earlier, Brown Familiar, you sign up, you don't pay anything up front. We charge 1 to 4 weeks before release. It ships, it shows up. We ship a couple days before release to try to get it to you on release day. And each box comes with a card. Look at that.
Yeah, we never know what it's going to be. We try to get it beforehand when we can.
Hey, before we charge.
Yeah, but this
doesn't always work out.
Doesn't always
Turns
work
out making physical cards show up takes a lot of work.
Would you say the Prism players spend the most amount of money on things?
Yes. It's not even like they can almost cold foil their deck. Have you seen?
Why is that? Because it's also pretty.
I saw an interview with James White, and he was saying, someone asked him,
I can't stop doing this.
like what his favorite card is, and he said Prism.
Oh wow.
So I think I have 2 words that explain why she gets all the shiny stuff, and it's James White.
I think that's why he did this promo.
That's
absolutely why he did this.
He's like,
promo.
I'm gonna hook them up with this illusionist promo.
Yeah, especially huge thanks to Flesh and Blood, Legend Story Studios, everybody, the team over there. It just continues to be awesome.
Yeah, totally beautiful card.
With.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this Dusk Till Dawn. So we've seen the Luminaris for this set, like I don't know what the name is.
It's
Like
Luminaris
Reborn or something.
You gotta pay to give it go again. Give Illusionist that go again.
And there's a ton of Illusionist players that really want Iris of Reality to be the card. So the fact they give us as a promo makes me feel like
I think it's a
they
signal.
expect it's going to be at least played.
Yeah. Like Stir the Wildwood. And
I hope so, because like this, a lot of people had a lot of issues with Prism for various reasons, and Spectre was one of them. Look at that. You landed it in a really good spot.
Yeah,
it's like almost glowing.
I did that on
like, look, you know what I mean? You see it? Anyways.
Don't touch it, though.
Comparatively, though, Iris of Reality versus the old Luminaris.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most reasonable situation.
Yeah.
They have to trade a card to do 4 damage, which is fine. Like, they pitch a card, the thing does 4, as long as you have auras on the table. So, as a long time... how would you describe someone who's anti-Prism without sounding too negative? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not a hater.
Yeah,
you're Prism. You're discontent.
Well, so a little backstory there, just while we're here. I played Bravo for a long time.
Yeah.
And Bravo's match into Prism immediately was like really horrible.
He is kind of unwinnable. Right?
Yeah, and Tim loves to play Prism. My brother loves to play Prism.
That's why you don't like her.
And then at the time, this is back before Viscera had Rosetta Thorn or Ravelin Runeblood or Swarming Gloomveil or Runic Reclamation.
I remember those days.
There's a ton of stuff. He didn't have creepers. I mean, I don't even know what I was doing. Like, why was I here? Anyways.
That's why we playing Warrior.
Yeah, there's 3s all across the board. But there was like a phase of like 4 months when I was really, it was post the first Road to Nationals, and I was like trying to be serious about the game. And I just could never beat Prism.
Yeah.
And so there was this, it's
kind of
thematic, right? Like I ended up going to Viscera, who's part of the Shadow Clan apparently. And so like, my hatred of the light built.
You know what else is going on? What's kind of cool with Dusk Till Dawn? That I said earlier, the Boneyard Marauder promo, I think that suddenly comes back into focus as probably a very relevant card again. Boneyard Marauder is the jam as long as Avaya cannot die to her own ability.
Well, that's a big
as long as there's decent support, I think that comes back in as, oh, cool. So we get this new cycle of these talents from the past, and all of those cards just suddenly have more relevance, promos and otherwise.
Yeah, well, interestingly,
so it'll be fun to watch that.
So our first promo was Scar for Scar.
Yeah, see some play.
Yeah, some. And then our second was the Boneyard Marauder.
Yeah.
And our third was the Stir the Wildwood.
And to be fair, Boneyard Marauder is probably still the best Levia card. Just that Levia wasn't necessarily the best hero.
Sure. Yeah. No, I
you need more 1 cost, man, because you get that 2 go again. And what do you do with the 1? You can't swing the weapon.
Yeah.
If that freaking Hexagore just swung for 1, it would be a world championship deck.
Hey, maybe
Dread Screamer, Hexagore off of a blue.
This set, they've got to be. I think Bolton and Levia are both going to get some love.
Yeah, I think so.
But so then we had the Runeblade card. Then we had.
What do you think that'll ever see play?
Well, then we had a Warrior card.
Yeah, in the swing.
Right, and then after that was that the Sand Cover?
Yeah, Sand Cover. Mm-hmm. And then Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind, and then now Iris of Reality. Mm-hmm. So the reason I was mentioning
and Sap. Don't forget Sap.
Oh yeah.
That was also wild. That was all 3 colors.
I love that art. Yeah. But this one set, we know we're getting Runeblade. Well, the Shadow Support plus there's a Runeblade card here. We know we're going to get Levia cards. We know we're going to get Illusionist cards. I'm expecting Warrior cards because Bolton is a Warrior.
Yeah, you got to.
So it's possible that like the first 4 or 5 promos that we got are going to get utilized in this set.
You think Dusk Till Dawn unlocks all Covenant promos?
It's all been built into this.
Boom.
I didn't want to say anything. We weren't supposed to say that. I made it. I had to sign a deal that we would not talk. It was building up to this moment.
Also worth noting, this is Madeline Boney, I believe is the artist on this. So I just like to shout out the artists all the time.
Let's go back to that. Carapace.
You got there. Look at that, though. I mean, honestly, Zach, that is a gorgeous card. The digital did not do it justice, did it?
It did not. Yeah. Shiny things help, right? The artist on the Carapace was Ramza Ardi Putra.
Tale as old as time.
Which I love.
Shiny things.
The, purple energy infused dark armor Every time. Just very happy about it.
Love it. Well, hey, huge thanks to all of our subscribers. We love you, especially those of you that have been here since, Crucible War? Whew, OG gang right there. Huge shout out to all of you. You really do make all of this that we do possible. And it's a pleasure to serve you in that way. And again, huge shout out to Legendary Studios. You guys have been great. It's been a heck of a ride
honestly,
so far.
We're going to set 10.
Set 10, congratulations.
They're absolutely crushing it.
It happened.
I don't know how many games I've been a part of that get to set 10.
I know.
In stride. And not like, just falling across the finish line.
How many did Star Wars TCG get to? 6?
I think
7?
it was 10.
It was right at 10, right?
Yeah.
Destiny got to 10 when it died.
Well, 9.5. It tried to get 10 out, and then the pandemic happened, and then they were like, you know what? We're not going to put that last set out.
So a lot of games have stopped at 10.
Yeah, which is the 3.5, 4 year mark, right? And I think when you look at product life cycles of anything, that's very normal. Early on, at some point you hit the excitement curve and a lot of growth happens, and then it kind of matures and flattens out, and then you just have slow decline forever. And I think Fab 2.0 last year is where we hit the plateau. That's when most games slowly just cruise to the bottom of the sea, right? And instead, Fab was, and Legend Store was being very proactive. I made the Fab 2.0 changes, and then got to work. I mean, the whole organized play plan, everything they're doing. They also were teasing the other day the PvE.
They really
were a little heavier. So it seems like they're also on a very sustainable, slow growth track right now. So
I'm really impressed.
Across the board, they're doing a great job. And like I said, it's rare for me to see a publisher get to set 10 in stride. And it feels like they're just in stride doing their thing. So I'm excited to see where it goes and super excited about the story and where the set 10 is going to take us.
That's it, man. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll catch you with stories from Dusk Till Dawn, I hope, on our Discord or wherever you post things you're excited about. Hopefully it's in our Discord. We'll see you there.